Hello everyone, welcome. So today I'm going to address what is bash. Okay, so bash is born again shell. That's the name. This is born and then again, and this part is shell. So what that's the full form. What does all of it mean? We will understand in a while. As of now, just try to understand what it does. What is the purpose that it serves? So it primarily serves two purposes to us. So bash number one is that it is a command line interface primarily for Unix based systems. Okay, and such as any flavor of say Debian, your Ubuntu, your Android, Mac, okay, so on and so forth. Then the second purpose it serves is that it in its own is scripting language. What does it mean to be a scripting language? So a script is an interpreted code, that is anything which you do basically to automate anything is called scripting. Okay, bash runs line by line, that is this line will get executed, then this line will get executed, then this line will get executed, which is very close to what happens in Python. Like Python is an interpreted language, similarly bash is also a scripting language which is interpreted. So now I will explain what is shell. So shell is basically a program which communicates with the operating system directly. So if you have some introduction about an operating system, what are the functionalities of an operating system? Yes, it provides the abstraction, provides the user interface, etc. etc. But primarily what we can say what a computer does. C for computer, that means it does processing. C for collection, that means it saves, stores. And C for communication, that means networking. This is processing, then storage, and then networking. And it is said that C is God's own programming language. So the computer does these things. Operating system is the software part of a computer which helps us in doing all of this. There are programs to perform these operations, but if we want to do things manually, then we can use shell as a program to perform all of these operations. The examples we will see, and I'll give you an analogy to relate with the GUI if you are coming from it. With GUI also, you can do all of these processing part, you can do the storage part, and you can do the network part. I will show you the equivalence of all of these in CLI, which will give you a feeling of what bash is there for. I'll give you an example of working with Windows as well as Linux, in my case Ubuntu. And here also I will show you the equivalent operations. Now coming back to what is this born again. So this is actually a pun that before bash there was this thing called born shell, which was abbreviated as sh. Now also the script which we will write will end with .sh extension, such as a Python code ends with a .py, a video file ends with, let us say, .mp4. Image files do have an extension of, let us say, JPEG or portable network graphic, etc. Documents can have multiple formats like portable document format, docx, xlsx, etc. Of course, we know that C files end with .c, C++ files end with .cpp, .sh extension, right? This is inherited from Bourne shell. So Bourne shell was inherited by Bourne against shell. So this is the parent, this is child, that is inherited a lot of features plus contributed a lot. This was the introduction. Now sometimes we also have this confusion of what is a terminal then. Shell is one, terminal is one, etc., etc. So to give you a feeling about it, let me explain you that terminal is just an emulator. I hope you guys must have used some sort of emulators to play Android games in Windows. Similarly, terminal is just an emulator for the shell. And shell is what? A program communicating with the operating system to and fro. Sends the command, OS does something and shows it on the screen. So terminal is just an emulator. Therefore, there are multiple sorts of terminals. By default, in Ubuntu, we have GNOME terminal. In addition to this, you can have any terminal emulator of your choice, such as Terminator, such as Tmux, and so on and so forth. It is just a software, so anybody can develop a software to interpret what shell sends to the operating system. Whatever comes back, how is that interpreted? Next, your user privilege. Let us say we will see on the screen my username is Yadav at, then there is the machine name, and then there will be a $sign. So to understand this, this is how my terminal will look like when we will get into a terminal. This is the terminal. I will break down the anatomy of it in a while. In this part represents the username the user currently using. @ represents the end of username and starting of name of the machine on a network. Then this represents that prompt is in non-admin, or what we call in Linux terms super user mode, not in super user mode. Then sometimes if you will open bash in some other folder, then you will observe that this thing has changed. At Ubuntu, then there will be something like colon or something else. Yeah. In general, there is a colon and tilde. I forgot to mention that. I'll explain that. What is that? It will make more sense now. Let us say now it is showing me slash home slash Yadav slash downloads, and then there will be a $sign. So in fact it will not look like this. I'll explain what does that tilde mean there. You know this, the username, name of the machine, from colon till the prompt. This whole is your present working directory. Okay. Directory is nothing but, if you are coming from Windows background, directory is just a folder. Okay. And then we have ready to take inputs, the prompt. Now you will see that it is not as much as I have mentioned. There is a slash, then there is some name, a slash another name, a slash another name. All of this /home/Yadav. This is current user's home directory of current user, which is Yadav, which can be seen here. So home directory of the current user is represented with tilde. That is why we have a tilde here, which represents home directory of the current user. Now what does it mean to have home directory? In Linux, the file structure of the whole operating system starts with a slash. Okay, in slash there are multiple directories. Okay, we will not discuss all of them here, they must be discussed in some other course. But what is important to us right now is that from root, this shall not be confused with some other root. Okay, this is called the root of the whole directory tree. Okay. Also there is a super user which is called root, so they also have a directory here which is called root. This is super users home directory. And then there is home. Under home there are multiple users. If you are on your personal computer, this will be just you. In my case it is just me. And then under Yadav we have all the stuff which we generally work with: documents, desktop, downloads, so on and so forth. You can create your own folders, etc. So in Linux, how do we tell where some file is present? For that, we start naming from this root. So if I want to tell that I am in this folder, what is the path I take? I start from here, I traverse down to home, then I go to Yadav, and then I reach my downloads. So how is it represented? It is represented as starting from root of the whole directory structure. I go to home. In home, I access Yadav. In Yadav, I access downloads. Okay. So this is how it is represented. Now this in itself is too big to write. If I am on a terminal, then my home directory is abbreviated as tilde. But if I am in some other users, let us say I am Yadav, but I am accessing some Mishra here, okay, then it will not be tilde, it will be the full name /home/Mishra and then whichever folder I am in. Hope this makes sense. This will be more clear when I'll switch to the terminal. So now I will demonstrate the applications of command line interface. I'll show you the applications in Ubuntu as well as in Windows. So on right hand side we have our Windows machine, on left we have our Ubuntu machine. I'll be opening a folder. Everything which you can do with graphical user interface can be done with the command line interface. One of the command line interpreters is bash. This is one of the terminal emulators. In Windows, command prompt will be our emulator for CLI. One thing which I was mentioning is this part. You see this tilde after colon. This tilde represents my present working directory. How can I check my present working directory? Using pwd. You saw that when I opened it, I did not specify which folder shall the changes I will do will get affected into. So by default, it will open in my home directory, which starts from the root of directory structure, goes to home, and then to my home directory. Okay, this is the username, This is name of the machine on network. Between the colon and dollar, there is your present working directory. I'll show you some directory operations, such as how can I change the directory to something else. For that, you see here, all of these, this is my home directory. How can I see what are the files present if I'm just on terminal? I can do a list. I see all of them. Now you see, these files are shown as grid. We can change our view to list, right? Similarly, in terminal also we can do that by providing an extra switch or flag, that is -L. Now it will show me all these folders, and if there are files also, they will be shown as list format. This output, you don't need to understand a lot of things about it as of now. You will understand eventually the user, the group, size, date creation, time creation, etc. Read write permissions. But just focus on the first letter, D. D represents a directory. If it was a file, it will have a dash here. How can I create a file? To create a file, we can do touch, and then let us say we have a sample file, sample.txt. If you see on the left hand side in my home, now this file got created, the sample.txt. Today 1754, which is current time. If I do lsla again, how can I do the command again? I just need to press the up arrow few times and I will reach that command. See, sample.txt, and it begins with a dash. That means it is a file, whereas all of these are directories, public, pictures, music, downloads. Okay, how can I remove this file? One method is I can right click, move to trash. That is one. We can do a shift delete, which will permanently delete. In terminal, we cannot do a temporary delete as we do in general. The temporary delete actually just delink the file from the directory structure, whereas a permanent delete actually removes the bytes occupied by the file. To understand that, let me delete it, move to trash. Now I can go to trash and recover the file, and it will go to the location where it was already deleted and recovered. But if I do a delete operation from terminal, which is rm, which means to remove sample.txt, so the file got deleted and it is not present anywhere. Okay, you cannot get that file back if you use rm. Okay, so rm stands for remove. The general format for terminal is, there is some name of the software which we are going to use, which are called commands because they are inbuilt into Linux, and then it's switches with dash. To understand it, if you are coming from Windows background, let me show you. If I want to open some folder into the GUI, I can do Explorer, which is the software used to graphically show files and folders. My present directories. Present directory is represented with dot also. I will explain it now. If I press enter, see, the GUI got opened. Similarly, in this one, let me demonstrate that you can always press Ctrl U to clear the whole line. We can do, let us say, Firefox and google.com. It opened the GUI. So the general format is the software and then the switches, options or parameters, whatever you want to call them. In Windows, clear won't work. It will tell me that it is not a program which can be operated or any script. Not recognize an internal or external command or an operable program or a batch file. Batch files are just script files as we will write in Linux. So here we have the alternative CLS, clear the screen. Here we have clear the screen. It actually just removes the content from your view. All the commands which we have executed so far are always present with the history. In Linux, you can see the list of all the commands you have executed using history. You can use history to see all the commands. In Windows, there is no such alternative. Now, let us go to this folder, downloads. As of now, it is empty. How can I go to that folder on terminal? I can do a cd. What is the location of downloads now? See, I was in my home directory. From home directory, I went to downloads. Where is my home directory? It starts with whole directory structure slash. From slash, we have home. In home, we have my directory, my home folder, Yadav. And in Yadav, we have downloads. This is one method. Second method is I could have just done this one method will stay here. Now if I want to go back, I can do cd dot dot, which represents the previous directory. Why does it do so? I'll explain in a bit. The other method to shift is, you see, this whole is my home directory, right? It is abbreviated as tilde. So we can do cd tilde slash downloads. Okay, so you see this part is representing this whole part, and from here access the downloads directory. Enter. Okay, same thing. Now my present working directory is home Yadav downloads. Home Yadav downloads, which I did here as well and here as well. Both are same, equivalent. Now, what is the content of this file? If I do ls, I see nothing. If I do ls list, I see total 0. But if I do ls-l a means all. Now we see a total of 8. What does it mean? It means that there is some dot dot and dot, which are directories. I told you starting with D means a directory. So this dot, first dot, represents the present working directory. When I do pwd, this is what the dot represents, my present working directory, and double dot represents its parent directory. So I can do a cd space dot dot. I will go to the immediate parent of downloads. So see, the tree structure starting from my home is this. In my home, dot dot means this directory, which is slash home slash other. We have desktop inside it, documents, downloads it. Now I will go to downloads, okay, and do a tree from here. You see, no directories, no files, because inside of it there is no directory. These are just placeholders for the parent and current directory. Now let us say I want to create a file. What did I tell? Touch test.txt, let us say. Now let us see the tree structure. One directory, one file. What is the directory? My present working directory. So I can do lsla. In my present directory there is just this file, test.txt. If I want to create directory, that means a folder, then I can do mkdir, which stands for make directory, and let me call it directory 1. Now what is the tree structure? See, in my current folder now I have another folder dir1 and a file test.txt. If I want to delete that directory, I can do it now because it is empty. We can see that. Also with ls, we can specify the location of some directory also. Okay. Let us say I want to see what is there in root. As of now, I'm sitting in my downloads. If I want to see what is in root, I can do a slash, which represents the root. See, it has all of these files. Then there must be some home. There will be a root, the home directory of super user. etc. So we can look at content of any directory using ls if we have the permission to do so. What is the content of home? Just me. What is the content of home Yadav? Okay, I did an A. I need to explain you what A is. As of now, let us just get rid of it. See, this is the output you need to focus upon. So what is the content of this directory dir1? You can look at the content with two methods. Either you can actually shift your terminal to that directory by using change directory to dir1 and then look at the content, or you can just do an ls on dir1. Okay, what does this whole mean? Let me just get rid of it as of now, then I will explain its significance. dir1, the content of dir1 is listed here. I could have as well done dot slash dir1, which will give me the same output. I could have done lsla from my home to downloads to dir1. It will give me the same output. Or I could have done, instead of tilde, the absolute location home Yadav downloads. Okay, so all of these are equivalent. In Linux, we have the absolute location of something and we can have relative location. Okay, relative as in from where we are right now operating from. As of now, I'm operating from my home, so I could have given ls la from my current location dot go to I am in downloads. Sorry, I am in downloads. From my current location, look at dir1. So if there is no dir1, let us say it was dir2, it will say me that there is no such file or directory from your current location. I'll demonstrate it. Wait. Let us say here I do lsla dot slash dir1. No such file or directory. Why? Because my present working directory is my home, where sorry, there is no dir1. Where is dir1? So dir1 is, I need to look at all the directories in my current folder, access downloads. In downloads there is dir1. Now it will work. But if I had done just this, then it would not make sense. Okay, so we need to specify the path either absolutely or relatively to our present working directory. Okay, so you got the idea. lsla slash home slash yadav slash downloads slash dir1 absolute path. This will work no matter in which folder I am in. Okay, because this is absolute path. But if I want to specify the location relative to my current location, my current location is this slash home slash yadav. So I could have given a dot. But my home location also has a particular symbol associated with it, which is tilde. So I could have done that as well. Okay. Now we know how to look at content of directory. What is this ls dash l? L is list. Okay. A. What does A do? I'll explain. But before that, I want to tell you that you can look at some help menu for any existing command. So we can do a man ls, which stands for manual of ls. You will see the manual page. ls stands for list directory content. We can specify options and some file, and this is the description. list information about files. By default current directory. So if I do not specify anything ls, it shows me content of current directory. But if I say show me the content of some directory downloads, then it will show me the content of downloads. By default we have a dot here which is not visible. Even if you don't write it, it is the present working directory. It will show me the content of present working directory. Now sorts alphabetically if none of this or this is specified. Okay, by default alphabetically sorted. Okay, then these are actually some methods to sort by date, time, size, etc. Dash a is one of the option. Okay, do not ignore entries starting with dot. What are entries starting with dot? How to quit the man is just pressing q. Okay, now let us create some file in my downloads. Touch a file name starting with dot, say my name, starting with a dot. Look at this. Here what you can see, there is dir1, there is test.txt. Now I am going to create a file .main.txt. Focus on this part. Okay. What happened? Nothing. It doesn't show me any file got created. But if I just show hidden files, which is Control H, then we see there is a file. Okay. So the hidden files are not shown by default with list or list in list format. For that we need to specify an all option. Okay, now it will show me all the files which are even starting with a dot dot my all the files. Sometimes it is important because mostly the configuration files are starting with dot, so they are not visible as such. I'll show you the difference of the content in my home, see, or this versus this. A lot of dot dot files starting. There are some folders starting with dot which are hidden. There are some configuration files of different softwares which are kept in .config folder. There will be my bash, rc, bash history. Those are hidden by default, so we can't see them in my home. But if I just show the hidden files with Control H, you can see that there is a lot more. I'm pressing Control H again. Now the hidden files are gone. Okay. So dash A option shows us the files starting with dot, which are generally the hidden files. With this, we are done with the basic operations of creating a file. Now let us look at how to remove or populate a file. Okay. For I'll go to downloads again. Here. Sorry. And it does not matter in which order do you provide these two switches. You can put AL or LA, does not matter. Now, if I want to put some text inside of this file, what can I do? So there are interactive text editors like your, if I double click on it, see, the operating system figured out a software which is appropriate for these file extension. If it was a video file and I would have double clicked, it would have opened, let us say, VLC media player. If it was some HTML page, it would open that file into some web browser. That can be done using xtg-open and test1.txt. Okay, the same software which was invoked with double click, same thing. What if I do not have a GUI? Okay, this was to invoke a GUI. What are the command line text editors? For command line text editors, we have interactive options such as Vim, there is nano. Okay, and with cat also, cat I'll explain what is cat. Other tools are there. There are some non-interactive text editors also, such as sed, stream editor, and we have a whole programming language in its own, awk. All of these will be explained in later upcoming videos. In fact, you will have to understand regular expressions to use them properly. With Vim and Nano, it is fairly easy. Vim is in fact, um, Vim takes some time to get hands on it. Now, let me tell you another command called echo. Echo is like your print statement in any programming language. Like if I say echo Mayank, it echoes Mayank on the output. Output as per the file descriptor number one, which is your output file descriptor, terminal, standard output. But I told you it is like printf, so it must be able to print some variables value. How do we create variables in bash? We just say name of the variable, say Mayank. Without space, we give an assignment operator and the value which I want to keep in, let us say Yadav. Now if I do echo Mayank, it echoes Mayank. But if I want to specify that Mayank is a variable, access the value stored inside of that variable, then I have to put a dollar in front of it and it will show me the content of this variable called Mayank. In Linux, we can pipe our outputs to some files, file descriptors in fact. So what I can do is, I can echo Mayank, I can send it to, this is, instead of standard output, send it to some file. What is that file? Let me call test.txt. This file which was initially empty. Okay, as of now the file is empty. I'll open another terminal here, then this terminal. On the left hand side, okay, what is a cat command? Cat is to concatenate. The standard output is having some text on it, some stream of characters and bytes. Along with that, put the bytes of the file I'm going to provide. So I can do a cat test.txt. Although there was nothing, okay, it showed me that this file is empty, it has nothing to put on the display. That is why I got my prompt back. Now if I echo Mayank and send it to test.txt, what happens? If I do cat again, see, this had Mayank, because output of echo was sent to test.txt. That is why we can see inside test.txt we have Mayank. We could have done something like, and then the variable Mayank. Now what will be the content? Now let me demonstrate something else. Let us say I did an echo of just some random string. What will be the content now? This time the content will be just this random text. So this redirection of output actually removes all the content of target file and places whatever is being produced by the command before it. Okay, but if we want to append, then what we will do is we will use a double redirection. And if I do Mayank, this time already it had random, from new line it will have Mayank as well. Okay, so if I cat random Mayank, if I do like I did previously, echo Mayank, the value of variable Mayank to test, then all of this content will be removed. I'll press enter. All of this content will be removed and only Mayank Yadav will be there on the screen because it is inside this file. test.txt. You can press Ctrl D to say that it is end of the file and terminal will close. Okay. So now test.txt has mkdir. What is the size of it? You can always check the size with LSLA. Press H. Use H tells it to show the output in human readable format. 13 bytes. Test.txt. Why 13? Because Mayank is 6, then space is 7, and Yadav is 5. So 6, 6, 12, and end of the file 13. Total 13 bytes inside test.txt. So this is how we can put some text inside a file. And now if I want to edit that file, one of the very simple, this was a non-interactive editor, right? Let me demonstrate an interactive editor, the simpler one, Nano, and what was the test. Okay, you can edit the file by this is a test line, entering random text. Once you are done, you can also get rid of things. You can press Ctrl O, which will write and ask you what name do you want to save the file with. You can either change the name. If you will change the name, it will create a new file. Your original file will remain as it is, new file will be created. Press enter, wrote 8 lines, but we are still in the editor. What can we do? We can press a Ctrl X. If I do cat now, we see whatever we edited is present in the file. Next thing, in Nano, instead of doing the Ctrl O to write out, you can do some changes. Let us say I got rid of the first line. I can press Ctrl S, which will save the output with the same file name, and I can press X. Okay, now if we do test.txt, the line is removed from the file. Okay, so Nano is the easier one. Vim is a little complicated. Okay, also in ls you can provide some file name, not just directory. Then it will give you information just about that file. Next, how to move a file around, copy, cut, paste. Okay, so the combination of cut and paste is called move. You actually remove the file from one location and move it to some other location. Okay, cut paste is equivalent to move. Cut plus paste is equal to move, right? And copy plus paste is just copy. Got it? Let me demonstrate that. Let us say I want to move this file test.txt from this location to inside dir1. Okay, what is one method? I can do a cut. I can open this and paste it here. Now this file is not present here anymore. It is inside of this folder. So I will undo my operation. I'll remove it from here, place it back here. How can I do the same thing of moving a file from one location to another using the terminal? I can use the move command, mv. What is mv? Let us check. Man mv. Move or rename. Uh, Renaming is essentially moving the file to a new name. Okay. Rename source to destination or move source to directory. So let us move from where? From my present directory, there is this file called test.txt, to where? In my present directory, there is a directory called dir1. Move it there. On the left hand side, you saw it disappeared. See? Now it is inside test.txt. If I want to move it back from dir1 to downloads, how can I do that? In my dir1, there is test.txt. Move it to my present working directory, that is just dot. Done. If I see the tree structure now, I see dir1 is here and test.txt is also here. See, it came back. If I want to rename the file, then I can do mv test.txt and I can give it a new name. Let us say final.txt and its name will get changed. Next, if I want to duplicate the file, that means copy the same file into both, uh, it must remain intact in the source as well as a copy of it shall be present in destination. Shallow copy or deep copy we will discuss upon that later, but it will have a copy in destination as well. For that we can use cp my final.txt to dir1 and do you want to give it a name? Let's do that. Final copy.txt. If you don't give it a name, the same name will be there. If I do a tree, see, in dir1 we have final underscore copy.txt. In my current working directory we have final.txt. If I had not given any name, then the same name will be there. Okay. Now what if I want to remove a file? To remove a file we have rm. I want to remove from dir1, from my current directory go to dir1 and remove final.txt. Is it done? If there is no output, it is done. And the philosophy behind showing no output on a successful operation is that in the initial times of Linux there used to be the punch cards. So we needed to punch only when there was something to be informed. If the expected operation occurred, we don't have to tell anything. It just happened. You don't need to look into anything. What the instruction was supposed to do, it has done. But if there were some errors, if there is something an operator needs to look into, only then there will be some punch holes. Similarly, if there is some error or something unexpected which has happened, then only we will see the output. These commands like tree dot etc., they are made to show the output. That is why they are showing outputs. These commands are just there to perform an operation. If the operation succeeds, they won't show you anything most of the time. You can provide them switches to show the exactly sequence of operations and exit codes etc etc. Okay, now let us see the tree structure. See, previously in dir1 we had final copy and final txt. Now in dir1 we just have final copy because from dir1 I removed final.txt. Okay, if I want to delete the whole directory, what can I do? Let us try rmdir. Okay, rmdir dir1. Okay, can't be because directory is not empty. If I look at the main page of dir, rmdir, it will tell us that it can remove a directory only when it is empty. Removes the directory if it is empty. So how can I remove a directory which has some content? For that we have to do a remove recursive. Recursive means all the files one after the other inside of it. rm-r dot slash dir. See, from left hand side you saw the directory disappeared and sorry. I gave a command to show the tree structure starting from root. So in my present directory, I just have now final.txt. Okay. Now we know how to create a directory, how to remove a directory, how to create file, how to remove file, how to populate file, how to edit file, how to move around the file in copy, in renaming, in moving. So these are primarily the file and directory functions which we will need. Okay. In case of Windows, the directory itself is shown here. If I want to see my present directory, I can just do cd C users Yadav, which is shown here as well. It does not have any shorthand notation for home directory. If I want to check all the content of this directory, ls will not work. Ls works in Linux, it won't work in Windows. Instead of ls, I'll show you what ls will show. Ls will show it's not an operable program. Clear the screen. We have dir. If I do dir and enter, it will show me the content of my present directory. Directory of C users Yadav has same dot dot the parent directory and the present working directory and all the directories which are there. It has a specifier dir, the attribute actually, which tells us if it is a directory or a file. Now let us change our directory to downloads. So I can do a cd. This works same as in Linux. Cd downloads. And if I do a dir here, I see there are no files. There are two directories. Which are those directories? Parent and current. Let us create a file. To create a file, we do not have touch. Instead, like echo, we have something called type. Let me just create a normal file as of now. We can do a notepad test.txt. Cannot find the file. Do you want to create it? Yes. And in this I will write test content. Whatever. I'll save it and close it. File got created. Let us see. dir. We have test.txt which is 13 bytes. If there is nothing, that means it is a file, otherwise it will be mentioned to be a directory. Now, if I want to see the content of that file on terminal, I'll show you how to provide input to that file. But as of now, let us just see the equivalent of cat. Cat was to concatenate. In Windows we have type and then we have test.txt. See the content. If I want to create a new file, what I can do? I can do type. There is a special file called null, which is nothing, empty. I can send this output to, let us say, final.txt. What this will do is, actually the type null shows nothing on the screen. I will show that. See, type test.txt displayed the content of test.txt. Okay, what will type null do? It does nothing because null actually is nothing, empty. If I redirect this output to some file, final.txt, what will happen? The file will be created without any content. Let us do a dir. See, the file got created without any content. If you do type final.txt, it's empty. So empty file can be created, but there is no direct feature. This can be done in Linux as well with echo nothing to test.txt. See, this file got created. If I just show you test.txt, it has a empty character, end of file only. Just have end of file. But with touch, you can create an empty file of 0 size. Touch fin2. Yeah, fin2.txt. Okay. That one will have a 0 size. Okay. But with echo, you have end of file character inside of the file. But with type null, you actually have nothing inside of that file. The copy and move operations. Here, mv is replaced by move. All the operations are same. cp is replaced by copy. Cp is in Linux, replaced by copy. You have to type it completely. That's it. Then to remove a directory and its content, let us create a directory. How to create? mkdir test dir. Okay, let us see the content. We have a test dir. Let us go to test dir and create some files here. So I created these 3 files inside test.dir. If I want to remove a file, what do? There is no rm. We have to do del tests. Okay. Now what is the content? I'll show you the GUI parallelly so that you can understand better. If I do test3, you see this file got deleted, and it is not in recycle bin. Okay, they got permanently deleted. With terminal, you delete files for sure, they are gone. Okay. If I want to delete the whole folder, I can do navigation to the parent. In parent, what do I have? I have final txt, test txt, and tester. Final, test, and tester. So in test dir, if I want to remove, I can do rmdir of tester. Okay. It says I can't remove it because it is not empty. So similar to Linux, rmdir can remove only empty files. If it is not empty, we have to provide some switches. In Linux, we provide -r. In Windows, we will have to provide /s. Are you sure you want to delete? I'll press Y. I'll press enter and you focus that this directory will get removed. See, if I do a dir, you can see that it is nowhere to be found. Got removed. For the files, there is del command, del. So copy pasting, listing the content, changing the directories, accessing the directory structure is similar. You either go relative to your present working directory, or you can go absolutely starting from the root. Okay, in Windows the root will be like from the volume which you have created, volume C colon and so on and so on and so forth. Okay, what's next? We know how to show a file, we know how to edit a file. In Windows, to edit a file, like these are some methods, like type test to final. Cannot find the file. Okay, this will not work. There are no straight away CLI options to put some text to a file in Windows. Then PowerShell provides these features, the CMD does not. Also, we don't have to learn Windows. I'm just telling you that everything can be done. In fact, the Explorer, the whole Windows thing, this thing which you see is in fact an Explorer process. Process is, if I see explorer.exe, if I just kill this process, you will see the whole desktop will just vanish. All the icons, nothing. Nothing. No clicks work. Right click, left click, mouse wheel scroll, nothing. If I type anything, does not work. Window R does not work. Nothing works. So that is just a process which is showing you the graphical user interface. If you want to restart that process, what do? Do Control Shift Escape. Try to run a new process, new task. Open, let us say CMD. In CMD, you start the Explorer. See, after typing Explorer, it came back. That is how it works. So this was about the processes, that it is just a process which is running. You can always kill this process, and anything which GUI was able to do will not be able to do. That is why you need to know some commands in order to work with some remote machines. Okay. Next, this is about file operations. Files and folders is done. Some miscellaneous commands, and like to search something inside of a file. All of that will come under the category of understanding regex and dealing with files. Okay. So in next video, what I'm going to cover will be, what will I be covering? So first thing that I'm going to cover is regex, and we will be working on Linux only. Windows was just to demonstrate that the things which you can do with GUI, which you have been doing so far, I believe, can be done with CLI as well. In fact, CLI is sometimes way more powerful. Next, we will understand regex. With regex, you will be able to appreciate your grep, which is to look for some regular expression inside of a file. That means it will make your life easier to search. This is actually what a lot of your text editors actually use, regular expressions to capture the string. After regular expressions, it's sed and awk. What are those? How do they work? I'll demonstrate with a lot of exercises on this machine itself. Till then, take care. Tata, bye bye. Okay. And I hit